fuck?
Good word. See.
Sure, there's a lot of noise from here. So hi guys, I'm coming to you from a new spot, new everything, new life. As you can see, I'm coming to you from my bed. Okay. So I just wanted to talk about something that's been life-changing. Like 2020 of course was rough. 2021 is different. Make sure you watch the previous video now. 2020 was rough, all right, but 2021 new vibes. I'm gonna be stopping this video because there's so much noise from the road. I'm right by the road, literally. So I just wanted to give my experience on my interview to get the job that I got. Well, this has been a job I've been praying for since I could remember. I think the first time I heard of the company was in 2014. Then I tried applying for vacation work in 2016, and then I was told by someone who apparently turns out it wasn't right anyway, the right information, that oh, they only take South Africans. But that's a fact. Actually, it's quite difficult for you as a foreigner to get a job in whether it's vacation work or it's a permanent work from South Africa. I'm just going to talk about South Africa because that's what I'm accustomed to or I'm aware of. And then I applied again in 2017. It was unsuccessful. So I had like 4 rejections. So that VAC work, and then 2017 I think also, yeah. And then 2019 December rejected. No, if I say the word rejected, it sounds very what do I say? It sounds very awful, yeah. So it was unsuccessful. Then 2019 December, then 2020 January, and I still came back unsuccessful. But I kept on knocking that damn door, you know, like. And then when is this now? 2020 March, and then the whole year through, I just gave up on applying for work. Like, it just happens that someone really gets tired. But this is not to tell you that you should get tired of doing it. Just continue doing it, because you never know when the door will open. Like, but the hope dies, yeah. So after that, September 2020, Jane is in Sunnyside doing the shopping for grocery. Now, first I was actually in an Uber, right? And then I got a phone call. I didn't want to pick this phone call up because it was like a private, and you know, this office numbers. But then I was like, let me just do it. So I did it. And then it's like, hi, this is so and so calling you from Zutari. And I was like, what? Like, that was mind-blowing. And I just cried. I literally cried. And I was with my friend Nyemwe. I held her hands and I was like, Nyemwe, I am in. Like, you don't even know, but that faith, like, I had the faith. Guys, you can tell how excited I am, right? The faith. And then I was like, okay, sharp. So after the call, she was like, oh, can I call you in a few minutes after you've settled down and what? I was like, yeah, sure. After like 10-15 minutes, I was going to my tailor, and then I started there, waited for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, nothing. And I was like, let me leave, probably because it's a Friday and it's past 5 o'clock. She's probably gone home. She'll call on Monday or so. So as I'm leaving, I'm in the middle of the road, literally. I've just gotten my spinach. Then the phone rings again, so I scrambled around to look for somebody to sit, and I sat, yeah. And then phone call was like 20 minutes actually. And this lady, I wish I could mention her name. I'll ask permission, yeah, but let's just give you the story at the moment. She called me and I panicked first of all, because obviously you don't know what to say. This is an interview, an impromptu interview. You don't know what to say. So I was like, okay, so answers questions, questions answer, right? And then at some point she asked me, what is it that makes you different? And this is the one big question, and actually this is why I wanted to give you guys the story. The one thing that makes you different is not as Jane started, oh, I'm passionate, I'm very focused, I'm very hardworking, I'm a team player. Those are common things to everyone. Like, everyone has those qualities and everyone was good, right? So the question was, she asked me, can you calm down, breathe? Now this is the most important part. She asked me to breathe. She was very caring, right? And then I breathed. I was like, Jane, what makes you different? And I remember at some point I always used to say that if someone ever asked me what makes me different, it's the things that I've done while I was doing my honors or my masters. And that's when it hit me. One, I've worked with the National Flood Studies Program in South Africa. I've worked with the WRC. My master's research is connected to them, which I still need to finish, is connected to them. And that is something that makes you stand out. The work you've done to contribute into a country at that particular stage of your life is what makes you stand out. So look for that one thing that literally speaks to who you are and just makes you feel like, yo, the next person hasn't done this. So this is what is going to make me look different, right? And I gave all the answers and I felt good after that. After I was like, I think I'm in. So I went and called everyone that I know works for this company, my friends. And those guys had more faith than I did. My own roommate had more faith than I did. I was like, obviously you have to leave space for that doubt. But it's never like, sometimes if you feel like it's yours, it's yours. Because if you remember during the phone call, I said, after the first time she called and we ended the call, I said I am in. But I really wasn't in. I didn't even go through the interview. So after that, she was like, okay, we'll tell you if you make it to the next round. Then I made it to the next round. Something to note, she kept on mentioning this in every single interview that I had, and you would get to know how many interviews I had. So there's the phone call one. She said, listen, there's 1,700 people who've applied. We only need 35. What makes you different to count amongst those 35 people? And then that's like should be about 0 something percent, 0.0 something percent, yeah. And I made it the next round. This was the second interview, and the second interview was with, like, you know, the big guys in the company, right? One of them was the head of the water department, because I was applying for water. That's what I've majored in. That's what I love in the engineering field, right? And he asked me a question to do. So the interview was very nice. Like, it was, oh, who are you, what do you do, blah blah blah. And then it was like, okay, talk about your research and all that. Then there was a technical question from the head of the water unit in Cape Town, and he was like, what are some of the things? No, actually, no, those questions came from the HR lady. She was like, what are the things that are still yet, like, what is the one thing in water that needs to be more developed, right, to ensure that there's a change in the system? Like, obviously COVID showed us that water is the most important commodity anyway. And then my answers were like, I'm like thinking out of the box, and that's one thing I always want to say. Sometimes thinking out of the box could lead you to the wrong point. That's how I felt, but I felt like my answers were on point. And then the unit leader was like, there's one thing you forgot. How about investing more in wastewater treatment, right? And I was like, oh shucks. So after this interview, the whole time I kept beating my head, and I'm like, no, Jane, why did you not think of this answer? What's wrong with you? And as much as I was beating up myself, I actually did do well, right? Like, yeah, we are smart people, right? But you don't always think of what the next person will think. So there's no need of beating up yourself. Then Jane makes it to the third interview. This is the final one, we don't know. Third interview, which had like the big wigs, the technical directors of the different sectors of the water, plus the head of the water in the company, and the client director, right? Like the client, yes, client director. So this was actually one of the best interviews I've ever had, and I felt like just repeating. After that, there was that adrenaline rush in my body, and I was like, can we repeat it? Can we have a repeat of my interview? Who says that? Who says that, really? Then I was like, okay, so first the HR was like 10 minutes late, and I feel like this was like God's plan also, because it made me so comfortable. Because the thing is, they were asking me, well, basically getting to know each other, and of course Jane had actually googled all those people and LinkedIn to them. So I was like, oh, I know you've been in the company for this long, so this is a point to get to know the people who are interviewing, because they'll tell you who's going to interview. Get to know them, show them the interest that I took an interest in knowing who you are and what you do for the company and what you guys have done. So the client director was like, oh, who are you? So I took a good 5 minutes to introduce myself and just point out the important parts of me and why this job was important to me. That's the other thing you need to point out. Well, for me personally, it's never been about the money. When one of the things I know is if you come into engineering for money, then you're possibly in the wrong field, because actuaries get paid more than we get paid, right? So it was just a matter of the impact, and I focused on that. Like, I really want to make an impact, right? And like that 10 minutes was like a calm down session for me, right? Because obviously you're panicking, you're meeting the big guys. And then when it came into the interview, it was like, oh god, this was a chat, literally. I didn't even feel like I was answering questions, but of course it's that panicking moment, but not necessarily, okay? And the other thing also I would like to mention to you is, one, if you know people within the company you're applying for, make sure you ask them questions. Make sure you know, okay, what could be the one thing that I can speak about that will make these people resonate with me. Luckily for me, I have like 2 mentors. One of them was currently still working for the company and the other one left, but I asked both of them, right? And they gave me advice and told me, focus on this. Like, for me, I think my one strength was the fact that I'm Kenyan, right? And the company is currently looking for work in East Africa. So I was like, that's my main point. The fact that I speak Kiswahili is my strongest hold, or strong hold, right? Because one, engineering basically deals with communities, and you need to ensure that one of the steps in like design or anything, or design to the construction of a project, is you need to include the community. You have to explain to them why this is important, okay? And I brought it down to a point where I spoke about my own experience. So make sure you also talk about your experiences. And this was when I was trying to explain why water, why the company, why am I applying to the company. And I specifically say that where I come from, Halo H-Town, we have issues with water to a point where you might not even have water for a week, right? But if I'm put in a position where I need to explain to the next person in the community why we are constructing a water pipeline with like in the middle of a field where children play, I can tell them I know the problems, right? I've lived through this. All we're trying to do is solve this issue for you. So resonate with the community. And the best way you can do it, if you go to like say if you go Kwamta, and then you want to talk to people in English, this girl, she feels like she knows everything, right? That's how they'll see you. But if you go with like, if I and then I speak Sheng, people will resonate with me and be like, this is our person. No, so you explain to them and you get them on board, and that's how people get to win the community when it comes to like building a structure. Because number one, believe you me, people always, you'll always find that part of the community that is not in agreement with whatever you guys are trying to do. So after that, that was I think I had the first interview September, second one October, the third one was in November or end of October. So I had 3 interviews, and I was panicking. I'm like, am I not good enough? One, and then number 2 was like, maybe I'm in. They're just trying to show me whether I'm in or not. And throughout this time there was like signs to me, right? And the other sign was like the last one I went to after the interview, went with my friend to celebrate, and then where I was sitting, if you guys know where Summit is in mainland, if you sit on the balcony of Summit and look on the other side, you see the company where I'm working. So this is like, if you look at this video, that's where I was sitting, and this is where the company is. And I say to myself, like, God, am I in? Is this like a sign, or what are you trying to say, And I was just like, yo, my guy, I think I'm in. And then come end of November at like 10 in the night, because the lady was like, oh, we'll send you feedback in like a week or so, or to tell you whether you made it in or you go into the next interview. And I was like, okay. So at 10 p.m. in the night, I received an email. Shoo! The tears in my eyes, and I found myself playing Maverick song Promises for like the whole night or so, and we just prayed, and I called people, and I was like, listen, I'm in. Like, God has had this prayer that I've had for almost 5 years, 2017, 24, almost 5 years, 6-7 years, and I've made it in, and now it's time for me to make the impact, right? Because the biggest thing for me that stood out during all this time was I was worried because it's COVID time. Companies are retrenching left, right, and center. There was like, you're not sure whether the companies have money to even continue operations and all that. And then I get a job at this particular time, like, and just after having discussions with my HR lady and telling her about all the other times that I didn't make it in the company, the one thing that she said to me that really stood out is, when the time is right, things will happen. So obviously all those other 3 times where my application was unsuccessful, it wasn't the right time. I would have entered the company, maybe ended up hating it because of experiences, but now I feel like I'm home. I found my place. So just a summary of the video. Number 1, make sure you research the company that you're going to work with. Number 2, make sure you research the people who are going to interview you. Number 3, be confident to know who you are. Pick out what will make you stand out and speak to that. Be yourself. And I remember the one thing that I kept up, I upheld through this whole session of the 3 interviews that I had, the 2 interviews that I had over the video. Something in me just kept saying, go with your natural hair, go with your natural hair. So I kept my natural hair the whole time. And I also had to send like a video, like, so that the people could get to know me. I also still had my natural, so I was like, let me be myself. I'm not going to wig this thing. I'm just going to be Jane, the natural hair girl. So that's being yourself, and believe in yourself, and ask the people who are involved, the people who work in the company, so that you get to know the company from the inside, right? There's certain words that the company is associated with, like impact engineered. Those 2 words, like, I made sure that I focused on those 2 words because it is what resonated with the vision and the mission of the company. So yeah, those are just some of the things I wanted to tell you with regards to interviews from a personal point of view, and I hope you guys have learned something from me. I wasn't blabbering too much, but yeah, it's good that I was, because you get to see the real side of things. Yeah, I think that's it. I hope you guys have a lovely time until next time on the video. It was nice doing this, and I hope to do more videos this year. Let's get me to 700, right? On the road to 700. So please subscribe, and let's have fun together. Thank you, and bye bye. Mwah.